Hi, and welcome to cgboomer.com. My name is Hans Eriksson, and today I'm going to do a slight regression, or yeah, I'd call it a regression from what I've been doing. I'm not actually going to do a bunch of modeling today, but I'm going to kind of go back to where I was back in November and December of last year. Um, Part of the thing that it was about that time that I had set up my website, and kind of an adventure for me. I'd never done anything with a website before, so it was all kind of brand new to me. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to create a logo and a web header. So I started kind of doing a little series on that, and then I kind of digressed off of that. And part of the digression from it was I never really showed or went through why I did that. And the idea that I finally had was, like I say, I wanted to create a web header, something to kind of show off my site, and also a logo for it. And I decided that probably the best way for me to do that was to go ahead and produce a very, very short film that kind of explained what it is about me and what it's about my site. And so I kind of got I had this kind of phrase in my head of an old dog learning new tricks. And so that's what I wanted to convey, and I got the idea that it would be best conveyed with a short film. So I had this idea in my head, and I went ahead and put it down to pencil and paper, and I started to create a storyboard, and also kind of a script. Well, I never showed that, and the reason I didn't show it was the old adage of I couldn't draw a straight line with a ruler really does apply to me. My drawing skills really, really suck. For a human figure, or a figure, about the best I can do is a stick figure. And if I don't draw in blocks, it's like you couldn't even see what it is that I had drawn. And quite frankly, if you go to pre-production things like Centel or Elephant's Dream, or you look these up, Big Buck Bunny, and you look at the storyboards that were created to do the movie, quite frankly, it's quite intimidating. And for the average Blender user that may not have those drawing skills, it's like, my God, I can't do that. So you just bypass the whole thing. And quite frankly, you can't bypass that part. It is like the most integral thing that you have to do if you're going to do any sort of production work. So it's really important to do the things even if you think you can't do them. And part of the hurdle that people have to get over is the fact that it really doesn't matter what your drawings look like. The drawings are not to show off to the world. Your final production is what you're showing off to the world. What you're really trying to do is get a base and an idea of what it is that you're going to do. And if you don't, people say, well, I've got that in my head. Well, fine. If you got it in your head, put it down on paper, because eventually you're going to have to put it out there in I'm going to say a solid form, but actually it's a virtual solid form. You're going to have to put it into Blender, and you're going to have to set a scene. And if you don't have an idea of how that scene is going to be set, you're just going to be working helter-skelter. So the idea is to have a plan, and that's what this is all about. If you're going to start a business, and you go to the bank and you say to the bank, oh, I've got this idea for a business, and what I want to do is I want to create a pie factory. I have no idea where I just came up with that from, but they say, well, fine, you want to create a pie factory. Well, tell me about it. Well, I've got it all in my head, but I just want to create this pie factory. Well, how big of a building do you need? Well, I don't know, big enough to put some pies in it. A place to make the crust and a place to do this, and you're trying to explain to this banker what it is that you want to do, and he's looking at you like, what kind of nut do I have in front of me? And quite frankly, if he just handed you the money and you went out to try to create this pie factory, you'd probably get a building that was too small or too large. You'd probably be putting the equipment in the wrong place, and everything would be by trial and error, and you'd fail. So what you have to do is you have to write a business plan. And when you write this business plan, you spell out what is that you're going to do, the philosophy behind it, what size building you're going to need, what size, what's your marketing plan going to be, and you go through all these steps of creating your business plan, and then you bring that to the banker, you set it in front of them, and you say, this is what I want to do. And he looks at it and says, well, this is great. I think you've got a good idea. Here's some money. Go do it. And you take the money that the banker gave you and you go ahead and you follow your business plan, and hopefully you'll have a success on your hands. Now, the chances for success with a business plan, it far exceeds the chances of success if you didn't have one. And the same thing goes with film or film or art production. You got to have a plan. So that's what this is all about, producing a plan. Okay, so we're going to get started here. One of the things that the basis of my movie, or the theme, or the idea, was that I wanted to create something that would show my basic, or something personal to me. Now, I am currently 63 years old, staring at 64 here in July, and my introduction to CGI really didn't begin until probably about, a couple years ago. I was kind of put into a forced retirement, and I played a lot of World of Warcraft and Aeon and some different things, and I kind of got a little bit bored. I still play the games, but I began to look at the things that they had done and in it, and I kind of looked and thought, well, why can't I do some of that? And so I began to do a little bit of research and stumbled on Blender and started playing with Blender. So, like I say, all of this is pretty new to me, or comparatively new, and began to go to websites and kind of learning this and learning that, and quite frankly, it's kind of transformed my life. So it's kind of like an old dog learning new tricks, and that's kind of basically the theme that I wanted to portray. So I kind of got this idea of an old man listening to a record, some old-time music, and during this period that he was listening to a record and kind of maybe dancing around the room or whatever, that the record would morph into a laptop computer, and suddenly he would be exposed to Blender. And at that point, he would begin to kind of play with Blender a little bit, and things began to transform in his life. Old things became new. And one of my earlier videos will kind of explain that a little bit more, and you might want to go back and kind of listen to some of my pre-production planning videos. I think it was even my first or second video. And I kind of got the idea of as he was playing on the laptop, that things in his room or the scene would begin to transform as well. Maybe the table that he was listening to the music on would transform via the blender that he was playing with into a a desk, and the chair that he was sitting in, the the spindle chair would transform into something a little more modern, and the bookshelf would, in other words, his whole life would be transformed into something new, a little more up to date. So that's kind of the basis of where I was going with it. Now, so I began to kind of look around and to see what I could do to kind of create a storyboard, and I got out my sketch pad and I started drawing sketches. When I stumbled on a program that's free, and I'll introduce that to you now, and it's called Celtex. And let me just go ahead and bring that program up. And it's it says #1 choice for media pre-production, and actually it's actually kind of a good little thing. And you can see here that you have different project templates, and if you choose film, you can see that you have this deal here, and if you click the plus sign here, you can click storyboard, press OK, and you instantly have a place where you can start doing a storyboard. So the first part of my storyboard, hold on just one second please. Okay, I'm sorry, I wanted to bring my original, or yeah, up on another screen so I could kind of watch what I'm doing at the same time. I have certain sequences that I know I'm going to have. So I start out with my first sequence, and I'm just going to say it's called Playing the Record. And you can see down here I can add shots or do whatever I want here. And I can do a very wide shot here, and I'll just say that this is an old man listening to an old-time radio show. And my next sequence after that would be, let's say, we'll just call this one Dancing to the Music. D-A-N-C, Dancing to the M-U-S, music. And then I can add a second sequence, or a third sequence, and that sequence I'll call Transformation. Let's add another sequence, and I'll call this one Old Man Starts to B-L-E-N-D, Blenderize. And I'm just going to stop there. I've got more sequences and shots, but obviously an old man listening to an old-time radio show just isn't a whole lot. So I'm going to add another shot, and in that shot I'm going to say that it's a I'm going to zoom in some, and it's going to be radio, R-A-D-I-O, comedy, coming to, oops, be helpful if I learned how to spell, coming to an end. And then I'm going to have another shot here, which is going to be kind of a close-up. And like I say, all of this can be changed and finalized later. But I'm going to say the old man turns off the radio, and I'll fade in some background. I'll just fade in some background music. My next shot would be, I'll say, a medium close-up again. And I'll say the old man goes to the bookshelf and selects a record. My next shot would be, again, I'll just say a medium close-up. That may change. I'll just say the old man pulls out a record. And another shot then after that would be, I'll say that might be a close-up. Old man puts record into the player, Play, and starts it up. Now that would probably be the last part of that, and then if I want to dancing to the music, I could say that that's going to be a wider shot, and I'll just say the old man, man dances, D-A-N-C, dances to the M-U-S music. And obviously there's more shots that needed to be added into that. But right now I've got kind of an opening scene storyboard here. And I'm going to take this ad sketch out. Hold on, the phone is ringing. Oh, and by the way, this program is can be found right here, celltex.com, and if you go to my website at CG Boomer, you'll see that under useful programs, it is right here. You can just click that and it'll take you right to it, and it's free. You can download this. There are some things that you can buy to add into it. Quite frankly, I didn't find a lot of that stuff useful, and I didn't buy any of the add-ons. I'm just using the default version. So it's quite easy to find and very easy to go ahead and add in. So I'm just going to show images here. Kind of collapse this down. The sketching program is not all that great without buying packages for it, and I didn't really find the sketching in it all that great. So for sketching purposes, I went and found another free program called Pencil. And you'll have to excuse me right at the moment. My pen tablet just kind of died on me. But what I did I decided that at this point I needed to kind of add a sketch of what it is that how my scene was going to be set up, and so I kind of envisioned, and this is where I show off my horrible drawing skills. Let's say I have a room, and like I say, I'm doing this with my mouse right now, so my straight lines are even worse. And I kind of had the idea of having a bookshelf kind of sitting catty corner here, a window, let's say right about here, and maybe a couple chairs kind of like this and like this, with a lamp between them. Uh, put a kind of like a table here with my radio on top of it, my radio record player. To kind of fill in the side here, maybe a door that is slightly ajar, and probably a couch sitting here to kind of fill this side a little bit. And I'll kind of noobishly draw that in. And there's my little cushions. And like a little end table with another lamp on it. And then I'll need another chair where back in the day, radios and record players were the source of entertainment for people, so they would sit around the radio and listen to the broadcasts, or sit around and play music. And so this is kind of what they did. So this was kind of my idea for a basic startup scene. And so I kind of looked at that, and I can go ahead and export this and into a a drawing or a sketch that I could then add right here into Add Image. However, I kind of got the idea of seeing that I was highly embarrassed with my drawings. I just kind of wanted to see what it would look like actually in Blender. And if you kind of look at let me bring this back up. I was kind of envisioning my camera to be pointing this way, kind of looking at everything, and maybe the old man entering, from this direction here, and then starting up the radio and doing different things. So this was my idea. So what I did to kind of make things just look a little better, at least for me, so I didn't feel as though I was the complete noob that I really am, I decided to go ahead and kind of set something up in Blender itself. So I created the scene, and let me kind of just back out of this a little bit here. Let me go to 5. Well, let me see, I'm in ortho. And what I did is I just kind of created a room, a very small room, and you can see that it is set up basically the way my sketch is, but everything is blocked in. I just took a cube and kind of raised some edges up a little bit with some loops, and made a couch. Nothing to absolute scale, but just to kind of get a general idea. I got my 2 chairs here with a table and a lamp. I've got my kind of like my little desk or table with a chair sitting next to it, and my bookshelf, and an open door. And so I've kind of got my scene set in here, and if I hit O, I can go into here, and I'm just going to hit Shift F and kind of back up a little bit on my deal. And I kind of envision this as being my opening shot. Let me back out just a little bit more. Shift F and kind of back out. This would kind of be my opening shot, and you can see I'd probably need curtains on my windows and different things. But this would basically be about what it would look like. So if I hit F12, I can then take a picture of this. Now again, the lighting really sucks in it. This wasn't a tutorial. This wasn't a exercise in getting the absolute lighting correct. That's for a later time, but just to kind of get a basic idea, a basic feel of how I wanted my scene set up. So I can then go to Image, Save As, and I'll just going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to call this, well, first of all, I want to put this in a JPEG, and watch as my machine bogs down a little bit as it's switching formats. There we go. I'm on my desktop, and I'm just going to call this SCEEN scene, let's say 01 and shot 01. And I'll just hit save as. Now if I X this down and bring my cell text back up, eventually, there I go. I can then go to add image, go to my desktop here, and I can hit that, open it up, and you can see I've got my opening scene. Now the benefit of this is I can look at it and say, well, yeah, I kind of like the way that looks. It may change. I may add something in a little different a little later on, but for a starter, yeah, I kind of like this. So I'm going to go with that. And then the radio comedy coming to an end. Maybe the old man is sitting there, and it's kind of coming to the end, and then he reaches forward and turns off the radio, and some other background music fades in. I can add all these images simply by zooming in my camera and whatever. Now, right now I don't have my character in there, but it doesn't matter. I'm just kind of showing things right now. But you can see that I've got an idea for my opening scene. And in reality, I do have all these figured out and in my final. But now I have some benefits here. I can then look at this and say, well, I can kind of see what it is that I'm going to need. So what are the things that I'm going to need? So I can then add in another deal here, and I can go to catalog, and I can come down to props and click OK. So now I'm in a props catalog. Well, what are the things I'm going to need? Well, obviously one of the things that I've already done is I'm going to need a, I'm going to call it a blender. Well, no, I'm just going to call it a radio, R-A-D-I-O /RECO record player. Okay, I can then add in a description of what it is, and I can also add in the media of what it looks like when I'm done. And in fact, I can do that right now. I can go over to my libraries here, documents, CG Boomer projects, working project, old dog. Let me see, do I have it in props? No, I don't have it there. I have it in planning, maybe. References? Yes, I do. No, I do not. Quite frankly, I don't know where I put that picture, but I could take a photo shot of my radio and stick it in there. I can add a description in here. I can add the scenes that it's used in and the characters that it's used by. I can put its sizes in here, the year that it is done, whether I rent, buy, or build. Obviously, I'm going to be building it. And the cost, of course, it's all virtual and everything. You can see where this could actually be used in a regular film where you'd actually have to go out and buy these things. But the idea is I've got something in here that tells me what it is that I need to do. So the next thing I'm going to have, of course, is a record. And then I'm also going to have a record jacket. That I have not built yet, but I have done the record. The other thing I'm going to need is what I call a blender record, where the record kind of transforms into looking a little more like a Blender icon, which is going to start the magical process of converting my laptop or my record player into a laptop. The other thing I'm going to need, of course, is a laptop. And I can go through here with all the elements in my scene and add that into my props, and I have an idea of what it is that I'm going to have to build, what it is that I'm going to have to make. I can add where it's used by, and I'm beginning to create a plan and kind of get some things in my head. Also, as I'm doing my storyboard, now that I've got things kind of down in pencil and paper, I can go, well, um, uh, just the old man sitting here and listening to an old-time radio show. Yeah, that might be a good opening scene, but quite frankly, I want to add something to that, so I can add a shot, and then I can take this shot, and I can say, I can also say that it's a wide shot, and I'm going to say old man walks into the room. Well, obviously that's in the wrong place, but if I grab this, if I kind of grab this here, well, maybe I'll grab it. The thing is you can kind of change where, there I go. Well, I did this yesterday just fine. I think I have to save it. I'll just save the project as untitled in my desktop. Well, you can grab these things, and there, it does move. You can grab these things and move them to different positions. So let me grab this here and move it to a new position, let's say up here, and as you pick it up here and move it there, and then I can take this and kind of move it over to here, and you can see that I just added in a new sequence of shots into the same scene. So you can add, subtract. If I click here, I can delete this part, or I can delete this. So this is very malleable. You can kind of change things around and add things in or delete them as you need them. So it's a very useful program and helps tremendously in doing your pre-production. So at this point, I'm just going to kind of stop here and kind of show what I'm doing for you. For those out there that are intimidated with storyboards and such like, don't be. It's very easy to do, and gives you some ideas of what you're doing. Plus, you can kind of set in some, like I say, block items into a scene and kind of see what it is that you want to do, how you want it to look, the things that you're going to need, and you're just not running around helter-skelter just trying to do things and hoping at the end everything is going to come together, because it won't. What's going to come together is where you actually have a plan. You can go out and make your pie factory or make a short film. Just make a plan, stick to it, and keep work. Like I say, there's other things in here that you can do. You can put in a production schedule, and you can put in a calendar. You can put in your characters, what characters you're going to have. You can do scene details. Like I say, the sketching I don't really like. You can work on a script. where you kind of write out a little bit of a script. All of this is possible with this program. So it's an extremely powerful program that will just help you tremendously in doing your work. So again, I want to, like I say, this is a very short presentation. I'm not going to call it a tutorial. Very short presentation on pre-production planning, and you kind of see where I'm going. And next session, I'm going to be working on another model for my scene here, and I'm going to continue to do that. And because I have a very firm idea of the things that I'm going to have for my scene. When I add these things in, I may say, well, you know, I need a picture, or I need different things. Also, it kind of gives me an idea of what I'm going to have to do for reference materials. You know, how is this bookshelf going to look? Well, I can go to the website and I can Google antique bookshelves and go through and just kind of look at pictures of different bookshelves until I get an idea of how I want my bookshelf to look, and then model it from there. It might be an amalgamation of 2 or 3 bookshelves. How do I want my lamps to look? Do I want them freestanding, or do I just want them sitting on the table? How do I want my chair or my door there to look, and what kind of molding goes around it? Well, I can Google or Bing, if you prefer Bing, different door styles of that period, because all of this is going to be morphed later on, and so I may want to look at different things. I may want to look at how doors look today and how doors looked back then, how tables look then and how tables look today. How does a couch look then and how does a couch look today? Because all of these things are going to be transformed into something new. So just about every prop is going to have to be done twice. I'm going to have to make a bookshelf for today, or from then, and a bookshelf from today. Curtains, I'm going to have curtains from that period and curtains from today. Wallpaper, back then people used a lot of wallpaper. Well, people don't use as much wallpaper today anymore, so it may transform into a painted room. Some of that is still kind of sketchy in my head, and I just may have to go and do it and see how it looks. But I have a plan, and the plan is firm in my head, and I can continue to work at my little snail's pace until I get everything together. But again, I want to thank you for listening to my little presentation here. I would like to say that these files are going to be available on my site. They're not. But the video, of course, is on my site. You can download these things at your own free will, kind of play with them, and kind of put your own little things together, or follow along and try and reproduce what I've done here. But anyways, again, thank you for listening. Have a good day and happy blendering.